All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Unscripted. I'm your host and producer, as always, Logan Landers, and joining me to talk about our Close to Home segment, as well as previewing Thursday Night Football's matchup between the Green Bay Packers and Detroit Lions. And of course, the guy on top, Jay McLovin, rocking his Houston Rockets hat. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. After last night, lots of things. I'm doing well. We'll see how tonight goes, but as of right now, I'm spectacular.
And down below, the man who is currently getting his floor waxed, but his son is waxing us in fantasy football, Dustin Reese, our resident stat guy. What's up, man?
Not much. This is all I got to say since I'm not going to do the close to home segment.
Go ahead.
Accountability.
All right, well, there we go. Kept it short and sweet. If you enjoy the show today, everyone, once again, check us out on the following social media platforms: Facebook, X, TikTok, YouTube, and on Twitch as well. Easiest way to find all of these, though, is through our link tree, which is in the description of all of our episodes. You can just find it there, click it, in about 2 or 3 taps, you'll be able to check us out on our social media platforms. Well, as we mentioned, it is our Close to Home segment we do every single week. So without further ado, all right, Jay McLovin, you're up first. Close to home segment, 10 minutes on the clock. Talk about your Astros, your Cowboys, your Longhorns, whichever teams you want to rant and rave about. Now it is the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to start off with the Astros, and then I'll do just a small snippet on the Cowboys. As far as the Astros are concerned, man, look, we're in the wild card. I don't really expect to grab the first place back from the Rangers. I don't know if we have enough games or enough time to really complete that task. Right now, at this point, I'm just hoping that we can complete the wild card part and get into the playoffs. As you know, we took 1 out of 3 with Baltimore. Okay, I get that. Baltimore is a hot team right now, but for some damn reason, when it comes to bottom feeder teams, the Astros just get their butts kicked every darn time. We took 1 away from the A's. We took 1 away from Kansas City on the last go-around. And then we just came off the Kansas City series, and we got swept. I don't know how we get swept by freaking Kansas City of all teams. But for some reason, these bottom feeder teams just kill the Astros, and I don't understand 100% why. You can say, well, Altuve and these guys haven't seen some of their pictures. That's great. But you know what? They're still a freaking bottom feeder. It's no damn excuse. Pardon my French. But taking it away, last night, Verlander did resurrect the Cowboys. They did resurrect the Houston Astros, and we got the 5-1 win, and Verlander went 8 1/3 innings of shutout ball, and he was just phenomenal. He did everything he needed to do to put us in a position to win that game, and our hitters actually showed up. Alvarez got a home run. All of our hitters did well. Everybody was hitting the ball well. We were seeing the ball well. Obviously, it was Castillo that we went up against, and so I'm glad we were able to get past Castillo and take that win. But I don't know that I feel 100% confident going into this playoffs. I do know that sometimes playoffs can change the attitude of a team. I'm really hoping for the Astros' sake that they lock in, that they dial in, that they find their chemistry from last year, and we continue to roll on. But again, tonight we got Javier going against Kirby, and typically Javier, he kind of comes out slow. So does Valdez. They both kind of always start off a little slow. They might give up 1 or 2 runs in the first, and then they dial in by the second inning. And then we got to pray to God that we can hit 2 damn runs and go on to win the game. So we will see, man. And again, we're going to see who solidifies that rotation in terms of the top 5. I'm pretty sure Valdez will be there. Javier will be there. Obviously, Verlander will be there. That's 3 out of the 4. You got to imagine JP France will be there. And then now you get down to Urquidy or Brown. Which one gets it and which one doesn't? Hopefully, I like to see Urquidy get it. Brown can be kind of hit or miss sometimes. Sometimes he can just be spectacular, and sometimes he can just like dog garbage poo-poo. So I think I want more of the sustainable Urquidy in that lineup, and we'll see how that flows out. But at the end of the day, man, look, folks, the bats are still there. The pitching is still there. The problem is one is on and one is off. I just need these guys to meet in the middle and both be on, both do their respective jobs. Get that dog-like mentality. Find your inner strength, and let's get this damn show on the road. Stop this inconsistent play. Because one manager has already said that when the Astros are on, they are the most dangerous team in baseball. And they are. When the Astros are hitting on all cylinders, they are the most dangerous team in baseball. The problem is when they're not on all cylinders, they're the weakest team in baseball. So all I can tell you is Dusty, Altuve, Verlander, Brantley, Bregman, all the leaders of this team that I just mentioned, get your asses engaged, get this team ready to fight, and let's go to war, baby. That's all I got to say on the Astros. Turn it over to the Cowboys real quick. Go ahead. You can leave it there even. Turn over the Cowboys real quick. Look, yeah, we lost to the Cardinals, no doubt about it. Dak turned the ball over once late in the game, and that obviously sealed the fate of that game. But honestly, you got to look at it realistically too, though. 3 out of the 5 linemen were out. So 3 of our starters on offensive line were out. We only had 2 starters playing. Now, you could make the argument, well, JS next man up. You're right, it is next man up. But let's be realistic, too, at the same time. When you got 3 backups coming in, making up your offensive line that don't play a whole lot together, it really is kind of hard when you're going up against their starters. Okay, so I am going to cut the Cowboys a little bit of slack this week because of the offensive line lack of starters on the offensive line. And Pollard did have a good game. Dak did turn the ball over once, but it was really the defense, right? The defense really, I thought the defense gave the Cardinals way more than what they should have, obviously, in that game. So at the end of the day, it wasn't the offense that killed it. It was the defense. And you can say, well, Trayvon Diggs was there. But I do know that Bland, when he plays, he can play just as good. The problem, I think, with that defense was we didn't get enough pressure, 1. And number 2, Stephon Gilmore didn't do his end of the bargain. He didn't play like the all-pro that he is. Now, he is a little older in the tooth. But I think that they kind of picked on Stephon Gilmore. And I think they saw a weakness in Stephon Gilmore. And because you don't have a Trayvon Diggs to kind of shore it up, I think that really kind of exposed Stephon Gilmore's game, and that's the reason why the Cowboys lost. Again, I'm going to tell you once, I'll tell you twice. I never get hyped on my Cowboys. I just never do. I will not get hyped up on them until we get past the second round of the playoffs.
All right, Jay, well said, well said. For me, I'll keep mine short and sweet. Braves going into a 3-game home series against the Cubs, 3 of the final 6 ball games, so me and Dustin are going to be going at it this week. Like I said, the Cubs need the wins more than the Braves. Braves, our magic number, I believe, is down to 2, maybe 3, not much at all, to lock up the number 1 seed in baseball in terms of going into the playoffs, getting the home field advantage and whatnot. So right there, like I said, Dustin, I know his team, they're still fighting there in Chicago, trying to get better positioning for going into the postseason. Braves, both these teams coming into this series with a 4-6 record. Like I said, Braves struggle a little bit here and there. Cubs also struggle a little bit here and there. So it's going to be a good series between 2 teams, who might be going at it in the playoffs again. Who knows? But I'm looking forward to it. Jay, I'll keep mine even shorter and even sweeter, or I should say bittersweet in terms of football. Raiders fell to of course, Pittsburgh Steelers. Less said about that game, the better. Just couldn't get anything going. Just could not get anything going. Some questionable play calling at the end. fell 23-18 final score in that one. Garoppolo, man. Like I said, Jay, he threw for over 300 yards, which normally, if he does that, pretty good. But only problem is, Jay, he threw 3 interceptions and was sacked 4 times, which, that's not too good. Not too good at all. Jacobs still just waiting, still waiting for him to do something. 17 for 62, a 3.6 average. That ain't going to cut it. Devontae Adams had a monster game. Not going to, it wasn't his fault. He had a great game. Defense, I always just think it's still a little bit iffy for the Raiders, like it's been for my whole childhood. So 25 years. So that's going great. Also, besides that, I do see, just looking through ESPN, Jay, Chandler Jones, who, whenever he's healthy, whenever he's on the field, he's phenomenal. But he's been going through some stuff this offseason, we'll say. Just off the field issues, I guess you could classify it as. He's on Instagram saying all of these absurd claims. There's so many out there. You guys check them out yourself.
Yeah.
It's just never ending, Jay. It really isn't. It just never fails to shock, disappoint, and also amaze me how this team can do this. And also, just speaking to that, Jay, I say that in part because Chandler Jones, surprise, surprise, Jay, this was posted on ESPN at the time of this recording about an hour ago. He wrote in a social media post Monday night that he was taken to a hospital, quote unquote, against my will by the Las Vegas Fire Department and later transferred to a behavioral health facility last week. Jay, I honestly don't think this dude's going to play another snap, at least for Vegas, if at all. Because, my God, he's just had a litany of off-the-field issues this past offseason. He was inactive the first 2 weeks. He's also put on the list last week, so he didn't play against the Steelers, obviously. Second year of his 3-year contract, so, I'm not feeling too confident about it. I don't think we're going to see him again. I don't know, man. He's got some issues that he's got to work through personally. I wish him the best. I really do. And hopefully he can get it worked out, and we might not see him again this season. But pretty much every day, every time that something comes out about this, I lose hope that he's going to be lining up on the defensive side of the ball. But like I said, best of luck to him, man, and hopefully he can get everything back in line, back in order, and can keep living his best life. So that's all I got to say about that, Jay. Everything on my end. Like I said, I'm still focused on baseball. Fantasy football let me down. Devon Achane or Achane, whatever, however he's pronouncing his name now, let me down in terms of how was I supposed to get this, Jay? How was I supposed to know a dude who was listed as the backup and in previous weeks had only gotten a handful of points, maybe I think it was less than 10 combined in the first 2 weeks, goes off for 50, and I still lose. So my week's been off to a rough and rocky start, but Jay, it's all right though. It's all right. We'll get it turned around hopefully in week number 4. Speaking of week 4, good segue here. Talking football once again, Jay, as we've been doing our Thursday Night Football preview. This week, we have the Detroit Lions, who come off of a pretty good win against the Atlanta Falcons. They will be taking on their foes, of course, in the Green Bay Packers. So, Jay McLovin, I'll let you start things off. We all know the Packers got the super, super close win against the Saints, 18-17 in that one. Lions got I would say, a fairly dominant win against the Falcons at home. So who's taking home this win at the beginning of week number 4?
Yeah, absolutely. Since we're talking football and things of that nature, I do want to pay a shout out to Dustin's son. Again, he's first place, a team that, quote unquote, Dustin says he picked with no help from his father. I'm going to take Dustin at his word. And that really makes me feel bad about myself and my ability to draft. But again, congratulations to Dustin's son, man, getting number 1 in our division. It is a tough division, by the way. A lot of really good teams
for the moment
out there. So, having said that, we are talking about the Lions and we are talking about the Packers. I fully have the Lions taking it over the Packers 21-14 for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think that Derek Carr doesn't go down for the Raiders. I don't think the Packers come away with that win. I think it actually would have gone differently, and I think that was only a 1-point game. So let's be honest, Carr. I think if Carr would have been in there, they would have taken that win. The Lions' run defense versus Atlanta's was on point versus a very good Bijan Robinson and Algiers. You know what that running back tandem has done in the first few games, and I thought the Lions handled that really, really well. Atlanta has a better wide receiver and running backs, and we're only held to 6 points. So again, when you got Pitts, Drake London, and you got that running game, that was not an easy win for those guys, and I felt like they did a really good job. The Packers, like I said, were extremely lucky that Carr was injured, like I said, I think that game would have turned out differently. I don't think that they were able to really even get that run game going for the Packers in that game, if you look at that. So, yeah, when I look at Detroit, they have 111 runs and 273 passing yards on average this season for that offense. The Packers have generated 90 and 218. Now, part of that is, I think, because Aaron Jones has been kind of hurt here and there, and they've been kind of giving it more to Corey Dillon or A.J. Dillon, which really A.J. Dillon hasn't impressed me at all this season. So I think he's actually looked very anemic. And then when you look at what they've given up or what the yardage on defenses that were given up, Detroit has given on the run 72 yards. These dudes barely scored a damn. I don't think they got to even 100 yards, did they, Logan? What do you call it? During the other game, the Packers. I don't even think the Packers scraped 100 yards against the Saints. So I really think the Detroit run defense is going to wreak havoc on that run offense of Green Bay. And I do expect the Pack, who have rushed for 136 or have given up 136, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have a really good day against that Pack defense. And they've also only passed for 219. So what I'm saying is the Packers are still very anemic on different points of the offense and defense. And I think Detroit is really coming into their own with St. Brown and company. And what's that dude, Laporte, or that tight end, Laporte or whatever his name is? He's doing a really awesomely good job on that tight end spot. And I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have a good day, not only in the backfield, but at the receiver spot when they line him up out there.
All right, Jay, and your final score in this one.
Yeah, I had it at 21-14. Lions.
21-14 Lions. Dustin, are you in agreement, or are you going to go with the Packers getting the win?
I will never pick the Packers to get a win unless they're getting the Bears because I can't stand them. Jordan Love is 2-1, but realistically, he's 1-1 with the Saints losing that game on Sunday. I am not going to sit here and say Jordan Love won that game because he didn't win that game. The Saints played cautious after Derek Carr got hurt. They gave the game to Green Bay, and then they had a rookie kicker miss a field goal. So Jordan Love did not win that game. It was the Saints' lack of aggressiveness in the second half, which ultimately lost the game. Detroit's kind of been that Cinderella/darling team all offseason that a lot of people have been picking to win the NFC North, mainly because of how they finished last season, the way they were playing towards the end of the year last year, and just the amount of talent that they brought in the last couple of years. To me, this is kind of their Super Bowl at this point because they beat the Packers in Week 18 at Lambeau Field last year to eliminate them from the playoffs. Green Bay is very upset about that, obviously, especially with that loss coming in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers' last pass was intercepted by the Lions in Green Bay, so Green Bay kind of wants to shake that off and try to respond in a big way. I do like the Lions in this one. I think the Lions are going to win the NFC North this year because top to bottom, I think they have the most talent. Yes, they still have flaws, but the flaws they have, I don't think are going to get as exposed in this game as they have in the past. I like the Lions 24-20 in this one.
Okay. All right. My analysis for this one, I think Detroit, coming into that game against Atlanta, we were still kind of iffy about them. Didn't know how they were going to come out, but they looked very good. We said they need to step up, and it was a big win for them against in Atlanta needed it. I'm sorry, both these teams really needed it. Atlanta, 2-1 on the year, and now the Lions looking good also at 2-1. Like I said, still going to be a little bit iffy for the defenses for both these teams. They both allow over 320 yards. Detroit's slightly better as opposed to the Packers. And the offense, surprisingly, it's weird to say, guys, but Detroit's offense has been better in terms of passing yards, 273. Running yards, like you mentioned, not the strong suit so far, but I think that Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery, there's still time for them to gel and click. And that's the thing with a good bit of running teams is that it takes a few weeks for things to get figured out. So I think that's kind of what we're seeing there. But overall, I think Detroit's done really well so far this year. As for the Packers, like you said, last week was just a wild game in terms of Carr going down and Green Bay winning that ball game. But I think for me, I'm going to roll the hot hands. I got to go with Detroit getting the win in this one. I'll go with the final score: Detroit Lions 28, and give me the Packers 21. 7-point ball game in that one. All right, gentlemen, any final thoughts, Jay, on today's show on the upcoming Thursday night game or about your teams?
Yeah, Cowboys. Holy crap, man. I just want you to know one thing. I will not be hurt if this is another disappointing season. I have already mentally prepared myself for this. Again, secondly, Dustin and his son, congratulations on doing as well as you are in fantasy football. And lastly, Astros, can you please just get a dog-like mentality and let's go defend this championship.
All right, Dustin, final thoughts.
If Minnesota could please hold on to the freaking football, it would be greatly appreciated. They've fumbled 10 times in 3 games. They've lost 9 of those 10 fumbles. The first drive of the game against the Chargers on Sunday, they have the ball inside the Charger 20-yard line, and a 256-pound TJ Hawkinson gets the ball ripped away by a 190-pound defensive back, which is inexcusable. Then later in the game with, first and goal at the 6-yard line, 40 seconds left, you have no timeouts. But instead of clocking the ball, you throw the ball to TJ Hawkinson again, who, let's play volleyball, and bumps that spike it straight up in the air for the Chargers to intercept it in the end zone, and that's the ball game. If we could actually learn how to hang on to the football, we would be 3-0 at this point as opposed to 0-3. And now you're putting yourself in a position where if you don't start winning games in the next 4 weeks, Kirk Cousins is as good as gone because you're not going to keep him around knowing he's a free agent next year if your team's not going anywhere.
Well said. And Dustin, as you know, the Vikings last year were phenomenal in one-score games. This year, that story has been flipped on its head. All 3 games they've lost this year have been one-score ball games, but the year's still young. We'll see if they can turn it around in week 4. Once again, Jay, Dustin, appreciate you coming on the show today. It's always a pleasure, my friends. I've been your host and producer, Logan Landers. Of course, if you want to check out any of our other shows, check us out on social media at the following platforms you see here: Facebook, X, TikTok, YouTube, and on Twitch for all of your latest up-to-date and breaking news across the sports world. Enjoy the rest of your nights, everyone. We'll talk to you again on another live episode. We'll see you then.